so this morning we wanted to speak with you about the progression from movement to mark making. For those of you that haven't met me before, hi, I'm Miss Beth and I teach the monkey class in reception, and I'm joined today by Miss Michaela, who works with the nursery class.
Morning. Hi everyone. I think I know most of you, but as Beth said, I teach down in nursery.
Good morning.
Hi. These are our aims of our workshop today. We hope that you'll be leaving feeling inspired to try some new activities to support your child's physical development at home. We hope that we'll be able to support you with a new knowledge to find new ways of giving your children opportunities in both fine motor and gross motor activities to support their skills and development in those areas. And we hope we'll be able to give you a greater understanding of the vital skills that come before writing. You'll probably have some questions along the way. Please do. If you do, just make a note of those and we'll have some time at the end to answer them.
So I wanted to start by just sharing with you, I think these pictures are really powerful. So here we can see you've got two X-rays there. The first picture you can see is of a fully developed child's hand. This is at about 7 to 8 years old. And on the right hand side, you can see an early years child's hand. So this is just to give you an idea of what a crucial time this is for your children's development. It's also worth noting that, as you can see, the children's hands are not fully developed yet. So it's important to bear in mind that we're not trying to push them too hard too soon, as this can be really demotivating because they haven't got the physical skills necessarily to be able to do everything that you might expect them to be able to do in terms of writing. I'm going to speak a bit about how we develop in terms of writing in a minute. Another thing that I wanted to share with you, it's obviously been really, really difficult with lockdown and being stuck inside. But when children are sitting on a chair, that takes away about 70% of their potential for body movement and development, especially, if they've got a comfy seat, they're not using any cord to hold themselves up, they can rest their arms on the table, their feet are not holding up their body weight. So really, when they're sitting down, and I mean, it's great to have some quiet time sitting down and doing activities, but it's worth bearing in mind that the only thing that they're really working on is their head movement and their hands. So it might be worth thinking, okay, if we're playing, do we need to sit down to do this? If they're laying on their tummy and they're holding themselves up, that's developing their core strength. And it's really important to develop a strong core to be able to access the writing challenges, to be able to, we ask them to come and sit on our carpet spaces when we have carpet. So to be able to actually hold themselves up, it's worth thinking about when you're playing at home, different places you can play, different areas, and being outside when you can and going to the park is so important for developing all of the children's muscles. The ability to actually be still comes from the ability to move successfully. If you don't have control of your muscles, it's really hard to then hold yourself up and keep still. And so there's lots of things we're going to talk to you about today that can help to develop children's muscles, to develop their different skills that help them to be successful movers. So we can see here we've got a progression of movement. So when children first start mark making, generally the strongest part of their body, when it comes to making marks and then drawing, it initially comes from the shoulder joint. So you might see children with straight arms, or it might be bent, but it's all driven by this shoulder. So things like swinging on monkey bars, running around, all help to develop. This is our strongest joint, and this is what we're going to start with. So you can see the little boy painting here. He's got his feet wide apart and he's moving from his shoulder. As children develop, it moves down the arm. So from having a shoulder pivot, then moving from their shoulder, it then goes to their elbow. And you'll notice, he's got hold of this. He's got the first sort of grasp that we'd expect to see. He's got his fist around. It's actually a deodorant bottle he's using for painting there. And he's moving from the elbow. So we're still not at the stage where it's going to be easy for him to write. And then from the elbow, we then move down to being able to move the wrist. So you can see the child here at the end who's writing up on the board there. As they develop strength in their wrist, then they're able to move from the wrist. Again, it might not be that they're holding a pencil correctly at this stage, but it's shown that it's a natural progression. So we don't need to worry if they're not at the stage of moving with the wrist yet. It does come naturally, but we are going to talk about some activities that we can do to help develop strength and help build those muscles and to build that control, because it's about knowing that your brain tells your muscles to get ready because they're about to move. And you can see that he is writing up on the wall. It's great to write in all different forms, so it doesn't have to be just sitting down with a piece of paper. We're going to show you some different ways that you can experiment with mark making that we use in school and that you might like to try at home. If we look at the pictures at the bottom, we can see the development of how children might be holding their mark making implement. So typically they will start off with a full hand grasp, and this is really normal. I showed you the pictures at the start. You might feel that maybe, okay, you're not holding the pencil properly and suggest that they change their grip. But if their hands are not ready to change their grip, the pencil is just going to fall out of their hand again. So if this is the stage that they're at, then it's fantastic to encourage them to mark make and to have a go like this. You can see gradually they will naturally change their grip. Then we've got a child who's holding their pen and using a one finger, it might be a thumb, to then guide their pen around. So that would be the next step after we've progressed from our whole hand grasp. And then finally, the sort of grip we're looking at for being able to write is a tripod grip. So you can see the child has got bent fingers around. There are different stages of getting to this grip, and again, sometimes it will progress naturally, sometimes they might need a few activities that can help them. We've got lots of activities that are great for developing this grip. And a really cool trick that I learned recently, if you're finding that your child probably has got the hand dexterity but is not holding their pencil the way you think maybe they should, is to get your child to do the pinchy fingers, put the pen or pencil or whatever they're writing within, and then flipping it over, and then it's naturally in the right space for writing and mark making.
So heavy work, as the name suggests, is all about getting children engaged in heavy tasks where they have to use lots of muscles. These activities are great if children have got a lot of energy or may perhaps need a little bit of calming down, because it requires a lot of attention for them to use and engage those muscles. They can be really simple everyday activities that you've got already set up at home, like loading your laundry basket with heavy wet washing and getting your child to pull or push that basket. Again, it's engaging all those shoulders and those arm muscles that are needed for that mark making and writing later on. And then when you're ready, going to the sandpit, going to the beach when you have that opportunity, lots of digging and building things, again, engaging all those muscles. You could set up purposeful activities as well at home, tying ropes and things around doors or handles for the children to push or pull. Or if you've only got a small space, again, sitting that child and getting them to push back with their shoulders and their back, or push against the wall with their hands and pushing out that way. Again, it's engaging on the child's level, a way making it fun, but giving those shoulders a chance to work. So again, if you have an opportunity, do some heavy work. It's really useful. And then moving on from that, thinking about specific gross motor activities. We have lots of these set up at school. Again, they're ones that you can do at home as well to help support those muscles. They can be things with balls and balloons. The children think they're having fun, but what we know is actually they're using their muscles as well to get them ready for our mark making and our writing. If you've got a garden or a balcony, you can do things you feel like throwing, or finding a space in your house. So there's one there with plates and aiming. That's a good one for, again, engaging those shoulders and those arms. I've seen it done with wet sponges before as well. That's lots of fun. Crawling is another great one. So if you've got purposeful tunnels, they're really useful, or build one at home. You could use a sheet for children to lie on their tummies and crawl through. That's lots of fun. Setting up those obstacle course, I know it's a bit of a pain to get lots of equipment out, but if you've got the space and the opportunity, they're really, really useful. When you feel ready and the playgrounds are all open, get out there, visit the playgrounds. Really useful for children pulling up onto slides and climbing up things. Trees, again, are another great opportunity for those gross motor muscles to be engaged. And then we go on to fine motor as well. Again, lots of activities. We've got these set up in nursery and reception as well. But as Beth said at the beginning, we're then moving down from our shoulders and our arms and into those fine motor muscles, and using those fingers and those hands. So you might want to use Play-Doh, rolling into balls and into like kind of long sausages. Again, we're having to use our fingers, making rainbows. I know that's a really popular activity with girls. Again, one you can do with real life, get the children to help you hang out and peg the washing up, because we're using those pincer grip again to use the pegs. You can do a specific peg activity where they've got to peg onto a pot or onto a surface, but if you bring it into real life, the children really see the meaning behind that, and pegging up the washings are quite a fun one. And buttons and zips, again, is a great way of children using those fingers and getting them ready for school, doing their own buttons, giving them that independence too. We can do things with cotton buds, little dots, or stickers. Again, children love stickers, so having to peel off the paper is really having to use that little pincer grip. I've attached a little video of some fine motor activities I did with my class over lockdown. You can have some fun with pipe cleaners and colanders. There's a few other activities in there you might want to watch in your own time. And then also thinking about large arm movements, so working on different surfaces, working on our stomachs, lying down, using those big we have big strips of paper you can get from IKEA, those big rolls of paper, so you can roll them out on the floor or on a table, so children are having that opportunity to work on different surfaces, and again, using those large arm movements. Beth, did you want to say a bit about that link to music as well?
Yes, so I'd like to share with you a bit of information about a fantastic program called Squiggle While You Wiggle. And the whole concept of this is that we start with really big, large arm movements, getting our whole bodies involved in moving. So we might use small bits of fabric. We might, sometimes at the moment, we are just holding our pens and doing big, large arm movements. And before children are able to hold a pencil, there is no reason why they can't be making the gestures that you would use for writing. So writing the letters in the air, doing movements that will support them when they come to write, knowing that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go this way round. I really enjoy doing Squiggle While You Wiggle with the children. Because we put some music on, it's a bit like dancing. We're moving around doing our big arm movements, and then the next step is to put the pencils or the pens or the crayons or whatever it is into our hands, and then we have a go at doing the same dance moves we've done in the air but on the paper. And this is fantastic for building up children's ability to visualize where things are going. They're using their core if they're sitting up and doing this. Sometimes we lie on our stomachs and do this, as you saw in the last slide. There was a picture of the children lying on their tummies. So it's all developing their core strength and their core muscles, as well as thinking about how they're holding their mark making tools and how they're moving their bodies. It encourages them to move from the shoulder movements down to the elbow and into the wrists, and then thinking about with using the fine motor activities that we've been doing, that's also helping their fingers so that they're getting ready to write. You know, it doesn't have to be a pencil and paper all the time. You can see in the picture down here, we did some squiggling with paint in a tray, so they're getting nice and messy. It's really fun. And something that I use a lot alongside this, some of you might have come across this already, is Do Disco, which again really helps with building up the fine motor skills. So it's a short piece of music, short song. They have their Play-Doh, and it's going through the actions. Now, you all got some plasticine in your learning packs, and the Do Disco music is available for free on YouTube with the actions to show you what to do. So that might be something that you'd like to try at home. I think it's really, really fantastic. Just, you know, a short session a day can really make a difference to the children and their development. Just as well, to share this picture down here, these children in the bottom corner are actually writing with lightsabers. So they're practicing their letter shapes in the air, but it can be whatever your child is interested in. You could use a sword if you're into pirates. You could use a fairy wand. We've used sticks with ribbons on the end because that makes a nice pattern when you're drawing in the air. So air writing is a really good precursor to writing on paper, and the children can have a lot of fun with that as well.
So there's a few images there of examples of mark making and then the progression into writing. You might have seen some similar with your child at home. I think the most important thing I want to take away from my time both in nursery and reception is when a child presents you with their drawing or their picture, rather than saying, what does that say? We can try saying, can you tell me about your writing? Can you tell me about what you've drawn today? Because it then gives them the ownership and makes them feel really powerful, like you do understand, or you might not quite be able to read everything, but you know they've written something, and you know that they've taken the time to show you and share with you what they've done. So if you just change your wording to say, oh, can you tell me about your writing? It really makes them feel quite powerful. And you can always give them a few hints, or oh, have you written a shopping list today? Or can you tell me what's on your shopping list? So just being careful about the way that we choose our wording so that we maintain that positive relationship with our child and between them and their writing and their work. Often in the very early stages of mark making, it will just be a squiggle, but that's great. And what we want from the children is to be able to give meanings to their marks. So they might say to you, yeah, I've written a story today about a dog. And for us, it's just a squiggle. But if they're telling us, yeah, it says about a story about a dog, then that's great. And that's the first step of writing. They've got to be able to tell you about it before they can actually write the letters. So if it is just a squiggle, that's great. So that's what we'll tend to see in nursery. And then you might start to see some letters within their writing, usually familiar letters, probably from their name, ones that they're used to seeing quite a lot and having a go at writing. So as the nursery year moves on, you'll start to see some of those familiar letters pop up. And then I know in reception, it starts to develop a bit more.
Yes, I think especially as we start to do our phonics sessions, the children move from maybe using letters that are in their name or names of people that are familiar to them, and start, recording the letters and sounds that they've learnt recently. We begin to learn the tricky words, so you'll start to see those pop up in writing. It's really normal at the start to forget things like finger spaces, to start maybe with just initial sounds. And you can see from the pictures as we progress, we then begin to see maybe the initial sound and the end sound, and eventually they'll begin to put the sounds in the middle. And we're really encouraging them to use their thread fingers to count how many sounds are in the word they want to write, and then it helps them to check that they've got those sounds when they've written it down. So you can see how how much progress can be made just over this early stage, from drawing lines and circles and squiggles, right down to starting to write words that are recognizable as words. As Michaela said, even if it's not recognizable to you, it's really important to praise every attempt, to be excited and enthusiastic to see their writing and their mark making. Often parents will say, I don't know how much to help, how much to correct. I think it's great to let them go for it, have a try. And then if they are at a stage where, there are things that maybe they do know they have done before, maybe picking one thing to look at and say, oh, it's really interesting that you've done it that way, especially with reversals. Quite often we will see reversals in reception. That's really normal. B and D reversal is incredibly common. But rather than saying to your child, oh, that one's wrong, maybe thinking about how you phrase it so that writing is always really a positive experience. Because that's what we really want for all the children, is to enjoy writing, to enjoy mark making, to be enthusiastic about what it is that they are doing, and not to feel that I'm not good enough, I can't do this. Writing, I think, is one area that sometimes children do get a block on if they feel that what they've created is not as good as perhaps what their friend's done. So it's making sure that we are really, really positive and really celebrate all attempts. And I think, yes, if we maybe just pick one thing and say, oh, it's interesting that you've done it that way. Could you try doing it this way? Or look, I've noticed that we've done it this way over here. Or can you see in the book? Let's see if we can have a go at doing it like that. So just thinking carefully about how we phrase when we're giving feedback on writing.
Beth, can I also just add about the importance of children seeing you writing at home as well? So often now we're spending time on a laptop or a phone, and when the love of writing might have, and the necessity of writing has gone away from. So if we are showing children that we need to write, taking time to send a postcard when you're on holiday, physically writing a shopping list rather than writing notes on your phone, writing a note to a friend, just so that children are seeing that writing is important and it is a part of our everyday life, that will make them a little bit more excited about it and want to engage in it too. If they see that, oh, mummy and daddy are doing it, they'll want to have a try too.
Yes, we've got very excited in reception at the moment about sending messages to our friends and writing them down. And I know for me personally, I am always writing myself reminders on the board to make sure that I'm not forgetting things during the day. So here we can see there are so many different tools you can choose for mark making. It doesn't have to be sitting down with a pencil and a piece of paper. Actually, writing in things like shaving foam and sand are really good for practicing sort of visual tracing. There's a child there writing with a carrot. You can be creative with what you choose to mark make with. And another child down here is using paintbrush and water to go over the top of words that have already been painted, which is really fantastic for practicing tricky words or high frequency words if you've got words that you are specifically trying to learn. The boys down the bottom are writing on the bottom of a table, so they're doing a bit of space writing there. Again, that's really going to build up those muscles as they're having to do that. We can make writing and mark making fun. You can see you've got pens attached to the cars. So you can really link it to your child's interests. If there's something that your child really loves, I don't know, maybe they're very into unicorns, then actually maybe a bit of glitter and practicing some writing, and that might be fun. Maybe like the boys, they're into space or into cars. You can really link it to what captures their interests. And then they will be more keen to have a go and to try. This week I've been amazed with how popular the writing sort of area has been. All I did was printed some books out that had a picture of things that I knew the children were interested in. So I had a unicorn book, and I had an Octonauts book, PJ Masks, all sorts of different pictures that linked to their interest. And then I stuck in a piece of folded white A4, and I showed them the book and said, oh no, look, all the words and the pictures have fallen out of my book. Who can help me make it? And because it was something that they were interested in, all of them wanted to choose a book and have a go at mark making. And I said, it's up to you how you want to decorate your book, what you're going to put inside. You can choose from any of the mark making tools. We can add paint, we can add chalks, whatever you would like to use. And then giving them that choice, they were all then really, really engaged, which is the most important thing. Because if you've got high levels of engagement, then there's high levels of well-being, and that's when the children make progress. So thinking about different opportunities for writing that you might be able to have a go at home, really giving them a purpose for the writing is fantastic. Because if you say to your child, okay, come on, let's practice some letters together, and the alternative is playing cars or playing with my doll's house, sitting down just writing letters on its own, why would I want to do that? There's lots of other fun things I could be doing. But if you were to say, okay, right, we're going shopping, what would you like? If you can come and help me write it on the list, then I'll know and I'll remember to buy it. Or, it's someone's birthday coming up, wouldn't it be nice to make them a nice card? Or if you write this message, we can then take a picture and send it to your friend so your friend can see. As Miss Michaela mentioned, writing postcards on holiday is fantastic. Looking together recipes when you're cooking, you might want to add something into what you're making. Okay, can you just write a note of that for me so I remember for next time? To-do lists are fantastic. So they might want to list the things they're going to play. First, I'm going to play with this, then I'm going to play with that. You might be able to add, okay, look, mummy's got to do this, but when I finish, then I'm going to come and play. So it's modeling both ways. We can write instructions and signs and labels. If your child has built a den at home, you could ask them, okay, can anyone come into your den? And they might want to put a sign up saying no grown-ups allowed, or they might want to label it as their den so that everybody knows who built it. Labels is such an easy one to just practice a small bit of writing very quickly, and then link it into whatever it is you're playing, so that it is a positive experience. And it does also, if you're linking it, then they're more likely to give meaning to what they've written, which is what we really want them to be doing, is giving meaning to their marks. That was an awful lot of information for you there. If you have any questions, if you want to just pop your microphone on now and ask away, or if you prefer, you can write your questions in the chat or speak with one of us afterwards, if that would be better for you.